Hi, everyone, and welcome to Payments TV. My name is John Gaffney. I'm Chief Content Officer here. Our topic today is the What's Next in Payments series, and we're going to talk about the changing service economy. Traditionally, value-added services were the domain of credit card networks that offered enhanced checkout experiences or data analytics. However, this paradigm is shifting. Payments companies like Galileo that we're going to talk with today, and fintechs like them increasingly adopt a service-oriented approach by integrating services like lending, multi-currency processing, debit services, fraud management. These companies are transforming into a broader suite of solutions that simplify operations, enhance security, and improve customer experiences. Here to discuss this today, David Foyer is the Chief Product Officer at Galileo Financial Technologies. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here, John.
David, let's start from a very general perspective. When I say the service economy or adding services for clients, what does that mean to you from a chief product officer standpoint and from the standpoint of Galileo?
I think most of our clients, when they think about the service economy, they're really thinking about a whole host of features that help drive their customer experience and their consumer experience to the next level. And I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk about that today. But at the end of the day, everything from digitizing services and improving efficiency in customer relationships, driving new financial services to the fore, thinking about the new and emerging different personas that they're trying to target, like gig economy workers, and all the payment innovations and data analytics that can help drive bringing those payment innovations and making those relevant to the customers. I think all of that is really driving this idea of a service economy, that the expectations around my financial services provider are much higher than they used to be. And we have to be there for our clients in order to answer those questions and really help our clients drive the relevance of those technologies to them.
Interesting. Just your recent announcement about the debit services and debit rewards is a really good example of how you're expanding as a company. But does this expansion include value-added services? And do you feel like it affects traditional network relationships to your clients, your customers, and from your perspective as a chief product officer?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the funny thing is, at the end of the day, the goal is the same, which is our clients want to make sure that they are there for their customers, right? Which means they need to be top of wallet. And so if you think about all the features that we've built that help a client get top of wallet, if you think about things like direct deposit, account linking, multiple ways to move money, all of that together helps our clients meet their customers' flow and sort of meet them where they are. So when I think about what my job is, it's really to help clients do that. It's to help identify those micro moments when clients need a financial institution and helping those institutions rise to that occasion. That is what creates the customer engagement and loyalty. And actually, I'd say one last thing. It's not just identifying the micro moments when clients need a financial institution. It's also about being important in their flow. So it's not just expanding value-added services to sort of show up, right? It's showing up when the client or when the customer expects you to be there, when they need you. And that's as much about rising customer expectation and sensitivity around sort of when they click and what's going on in their day and what mode they're on their phone and all of that, and disappearing when they don't. And I think that means, being sensitive to the customer experience and really finding ways that you're available when the customer needs you. And that might be, having all of these different interfaces in sort of, it might be on your Amazon Alexa, it might be on your Apple Watch. It's wherever the customer is in their flow. Can you rise to that occasion to be there and be available for the customer, but also when you're not needed, not spamming a customer with a ton of different notifications and emails and sort of driving them crazy with offers that might not be relevant to them and at a time that they really don't want to be interrupted. I think that's crucial to sort of making sure that the customer is the focus of all those features and all those products. I think as we build value-added services, it's about making sure we surface those micro moments appropriately and at the right time so the customers know that we care and the customers know the clients care. And I think that's super important. It supports, it really helps us selfishly create operating leverage, right? Because we can start to build a platform and leverage platform economics as we build our platform out. And I think that's super important. So the more types of money movement drive more leverage, the more types of sponsor banks that we have drive more leverage. All of this helps us create this sort of coordinating function where we can put all the right things together for clients. And I think that's really what creates this. What's special about this co-branded debit platform is that we're able to offer something to our clients by putting together all of the right pieces to help make them successful.
So it sounds like, I mean, Galileo truly has an ecosystem more than most any company I know in this business, but it sounds like it's a more collaborative ecosystem than it has been. And even though you guys specialize in that.
Absolutely. There was the second part of your question was terrific. I think you asked about how that affects the traditional network relationships,
Yeah.
and I think the ecosystem approach is exactly what I would double down on there. I think the cool thing about the networks is that they're this highway, right? They figured out a
Hmm.
whole bunch of what it takes in order to perform a transaction, but a highway is fundamentally useless without on ramps and off ramps. And so what we're able to do is we're able to create all of these on ramps and off ramps in order to extend the value of traditional networks and partner with them in order to create way more utility out of the existing functionality. So we love the networks because they do things like authorization and they help with settlement and they add all these third-party value propositions that they've acquired over, and built over the years. And we're constantly adding spokes to that hub, and we both benefit from it. So when you think about an ecosystem approach, the networks aren't able to do everything. We're not able to do everything. And so we're able to leverage the best of the technology that the networks bring to the fore in order to drive these value props forward.
Interesting. Now, David, you're chief product officer.
Yeah.
Interesting role. So how does that relate to our topic here? How does that, what are some of your, I guess, your favorite children in terms of your products, in terms of how they enhance the customer experience and how they impact user satisfaction and loyalty?
Oh boy. Nobody, I know enough as a parent to know that choosing a favorite child is not a good decision, especially not in an interview. But let me try.
Uh,
I think we're moving closer to a platforms and ecosystem world, and
mhm.
moving further away from horizontal supply chain approaches to networks and software. And the nature of competition is changing. Competition in the platform world is changing, and that's a lot of what we talked about. When you move away from supply side economics, you move away from these concepts of vertical integration and into the ecosystem world, where you may be partnering with people who in other areas you might be competing with. And I think that's super exciting. So I wouldn't say that my favorite child is a given feature, a given product. I think
Okay.
my favorite thing in the world is when what we're able to do is add new features and services that have a very low incremental cost of adoption, because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, it's a new API, it's a new report, it's new data, and then we're able to really create a point of leverage and a point of real value in terms of time to revenue, in terms of time to market, in terms of the ability to validate an idea or fail fast, so that we can help our clients succeed. And I have a whole host of products in that space, and we're doubling down there. So I love the platform economics world, and particularly what you talked about as regards ecosystems. I would say that our ecosystems plays are my favorite.
Yeah. Okay. That's excellent. That's a great answer. And I knew I was throwing you a bit of a curveball there. So well done. So let's talk about security a little bit and risk management. You guys have done a great job securing that ecosystem we talk about. How you as a chief product officer, how do you innovate in fraud prevention and add layers of security, but don't deter users from using products and services?
It's a balance, right?
Hmm.
I think the whole challenge is really, if you block all transactions, then customer satisfaction very obviously goes down because customer utility goes down. If you allow all transactions through, then of course your ability to manage risk significantly declines and you will have losses. So there's a balance between customer satisfaction and risk, and the question is, how can we help our clients make better decisions there about that balance? And
Hmm.
the answer, by the way, is not more data. More data is not necessarily better. That just makes it harder for you to make a decision because you have to sort of parse through all of these signals, right? So what we've been really doing is working on innovations in that space in order to leverage AI so that our clients can make better decisions, quicker decisions with less data that's more accurate and helps reflect what posture they want as regards to their customer satisfaction and risk goals. So, as an example, we have a product called G Score, the Galileo score. And what it does
Okay.
is it takes hundreds of fraud signals and it uses AI to boil that down to one number, to a score. And a fintech can then use that score in order to judge, let's say, transaction fraud. So they can decide whether to allow a transaction, deny a transaction, or perhaps prompt a customer whether to allow or deny that transaction. So G-Score is a way of taking all of those fraud signals and aggregating them into one number. So it makes it easier for fintechs to make that decision. And what that does is that puts the power back in the financial institution's hands to say, how do we want to manage risk and customer satisfaction, as opposed to us taking it from them and making those decisions on their behalf. And that's because at the end of the day, this is so key to the brand, right? The client's brand is how the emotional connection they have to their customers and how their customers view their brand. And it has brand implications when you block a transaction, and it has brand implications when you have to issue a new card or a new account because there was so much fraud on one. So being able to put that power back in the hands of a client is very exciting. It's extremely powerful, and it's something that our clients are really benefiting from. Just to give you one other example, we've developed quite a bit of fuzzy name logic in order to figure out how to best do counterparty identification for money movement. So when I send money to you, how do I know it's actually you? And we have many cultures which might have multiple names, which might have reversed first and last names, which might have multiple spellings that use X instead of Q or Q instead of X. And so we've developed this logic to make that easier. And again, the central philosophy we have about all of this is, how do we empower our clients to make those decisions themselves and to allow them to manage that balance versus trying to take that and make those decisions on behalf of our clients so they can meet their business goals and project the brand value that they want to project.
Interesting. So, David, for my last question, I'd like to talk about the global nature of the payments business these days and multi-currency capabilities. You guys are a truly global company. How important, what do you hear from your customers, and how much does it figure into your day-to-day to work in multi-currency and global service capabilities for today's increasingly borderless environment?
I love this question. I
Yeah.
think there's two or three things going on that are super interesting. The first is that we operate in multiple countries. I think we operate today in 15 countries across the Western Hemisphere. And what I see is not just lessons learned from the business patterns and the business strategies in all of our countries that can then be used in other countries in which we operate, but also that how we understand currencies is fundamentally changing. We're seeing a diversification of what remittance means, what cross-border transaction means, what's happening with crypto and stablecoins, commodities and altered transaction types and smart contracts. We're seeing that there are many more ways of exchanging value than there were just 5 years ago, right? So, cross-border transactions are about how we can extend our client experience. And the way I like to think about it is, we have multiple clients that actually operate in multiple geographies. How can we be there for our clients as they want to expand, as they want to go to a different country? So if we have a client that's in the US and they want to expand to Mexico, to Colombia, to Argentina, to Brazil, to Ecuador, can we be there with them on their journey, enabling them along the way to extend their brand, to extend their application footprint, and also, of course, create that connectivity, that ecosystem between those different countries so they can operate efficiently, effectively, and at scale with a global remit. I think that's the challenge that we have and that we're seeing and that we're rising to the occasion to meet, because we have so many clients that are doing that. And we can see that, the US is not enough anymore. We see that across the board. We see multiple clients telling us they want more. They want a global approach, and they want to be able to drive economies of scale and efficiencies across all of those different geographies. So when I think about my job, the compliance environment, the legal environment, the regulatory challenges to help clients successfully ship products across border lines, that's where we squarely sit. How can we help clients with that so that they can build the ecosystem they want, and then building the features, of course, on top of that, that enable that vision?
Very well said. Very well said. That's going to do it for this episode of Payments TV. My guest has been David Foyer, who is Chief Product Officer at Galileo Financial Technologies. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, John.